In this lesson, we're going to talk about passing in named arguments into input parameters. So naming parameters allows us to send in parameter arguments out of order and even skip some optional parameters that we don't need or have the values for, okay? So simply put, we just use the name of the parameter that we're wanting to pass in, a colon, and then the value. And so then we can pass things out of order completely into our methods. It's pretty crazy, and it's a relatively new feature in C#. And I'm not suggesting you ever use this, and I'm not even really sure why you'd want to, but I just want to show you it is possible and what you might see out in other people's code bases or examples out on the internet. So as you can see here, we are in CS-ASP_033. Please catch up with me. You can see that this is a variation again on the Hero and Monster project. You can see that in line number 46, we're working with the perform attack method. You can see that we have two optional parameters there in lines 50 and 51, just like we talked about in the previous lesson. And because of these two, the rules surrounding optional parameters, we couldn't do something like this. So perform attack, passing in the hero's health, 20, monster, hero, and we couldn't skip the critical hit chance and go directly on to the defender armor bonus and set that to 10. We would get an exception. And if we hover over again, as a reminder, it's basically missing an argument. So you cannot skip optional parameters unless they're at the very end of the list of optional parameters, right? So to get around this limitation, what we can simply do is just kind of avoid that situation altogether, and we're going to actually give the name of this parameter that we're wanting to pass in. So defender armor bonus :10. And now that we've named that parameter, we can skip any optional parameters that were previous to the definition of this defender armor bonus optional parameter. Furthermore, we can do something like this. And this is going to be quite crazy here. So we can start off with the attacker damage max, and set that equal to 20. We can then send in the defender armor bonus, set that equal to 10. We can then do the attacker name and give it monster. We can give it the defender name, give it hero, and then finally the that should be defender name, and then finally the defender's health. And notice that here in one moment I'll show you something interesting. Hero health, okay, there, and that should work. All right. So we're calling things completely out of order, complete chaos here. Again, why would you ever want to do this? I'm not sure outside of this scenario that you would ever want to do this. Maybe you don't like the order in which the original methods define the parameters. Maybe you don't believe that it makes sense. It doesn't read well, and that's not code that you can change. You know, it belongs to somebody else, or you're just coming in fresh to this project and you don't want to, break everybody else's code by changing the order of those parameters. You can decide to take control of the order in which those parameters are passed in. I still don't think it's a great idea. Just showing you, just telling you, okay? Now watch what happens if we were to forget one of the required parameters here. I'm just going to get rid of defender name and act like it never existed. After a moment, we're going to get an IntelliSense or error squiggly line, and it says no overloaded method perform attack takes 4 arguments. All right, so it knows that it's missing something important like the defender name, and here, as long as I give it to it somewhere in the list, it'll be happy. Okay. All right, so at any rate, that's how you create named input parameters, again, outside of the scenario where you need to skip optional parameters that you don't have values for, I'm not sure it's all that helpful, but you can do it if you really want to. All right, so that's all I have to say about passing named arguments into parameters. Thank you.